I'm sorry, listeners. That's very unprofessional. Yeah. See, just before I press record there, Robert said Hibernian, and
Hibs.
Mixy me. Oh dear. I think I'll probably actually edit out the first half hour of that. Just fade it in.
Yeah, no, all we need is about 10 minutes of it, we'll be fine.
Right, yes, welcome. This is We Have No Cares. This is a Heart of Midlothian podcast. I am Nick O'Hay.
And I am Robert Borthwick.
You certainly are.
I am.
Well, Hearts fans, you probably don't need me to tell you that
we fucked Hibs.
We did.
Yay.
We laid them down by the fire, and it was consensual and it was gorgeous. And we stroked their hair and we told them, yes, of course I'll respect you in the morning. Of course you're going to come home and meet my mum, and we'll take long walks on the beach, and we'll buy that pony, and maybe we will move to Perth when we've retired, and we'll get that lovely cottage that you've wanted for so long. You know what?
No. We're never going to call them back. Great stuff.
Maybe in a couple of months when we...
Yes, when we fist them again.
Well, a bit of a booty call.
Yes.
Send a booty call. Well, maybe we'll be pleasant. We'll go round to their place that time. But, we'll say, we'll spend the night over, but we'll sneak out while they're asleep or crying. Sunday. Heart of Midlothian 2, Hibernian 1, and what a day it was. Interesting game, I thought. We'll start talking about the game in full, but I think the thing that really struck me about the occasion is Hibs are very much a transformed side from last year. They've really taken something, and what's most clear is that Alan Stubbs is really working with what he's got and doing something much more than previous Hibs managers have done.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think, he's done something different from other Hibs managers like Fenlon, people like that who couldn't organise a team. That was the main thing they didn't have any organisation, no real leaders on the pitch. I mean, Colin Calderwood made Derek Riordan club captain, for example. Things like that. So he's come in, they're obviously a lot more organised this year, but he is doing the same thing as other Hibs managers, whereby he loses to Hearts.
Yes, a common theme amongst Hibernian managers, and one that I'm absolutely delighted shows no signs of abating. So, today's game started off kind of similarly to Ibrox in that Hearts really needed to fuel their way into the game for the first 20 minutes, and it kind of set the theme. Hibs were, by Hibs standards, astonishingly well organised, combative in midfield, and their two centre-halves, Foster, who personally I've always thought has been quite good for a Hibs player, and Nelson, who has never ever been good ever in recorded history as far as I can tell.
Yes, yeah.
They both knew where to stand, they denied So space, the midfield did well to make sure that So didn't get service, and really they stopped us playing for a long spell of the game. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think the main one for me was in the midfield. It just seemed like Boabin and Gomez to start with. Even though they were absolutely fantastic against Rangers, and they grew into the game on Sunday, to be fair, but they were kind of standing off the Hibs midfield a wee bit. They weren't jumping in, not jumping in, but closing down as quickly as they were last week. And I think that Hibs didn't really create anything. They still didn't create anything at all. I think their main tactic was to try and stop us, which they did very well at. They were tremendous, actually, at stopping us for a while.
Yeah, kind of an interesting factor in that was Dale Carrick not being available. So Jason Holt took his place. Now, I don't know whether or not Robbie would have gone for this anyway, because it did mean we had more men in midfield. And whereas I think Jason Holt was probably one of Hearts' best players in that first 20 minutes where we were, to be fair, struggling.
Yeah.
It meant that So got kind of isolated, and it also meant that Nelson and Foster could very much stay on So's shoulder. He never got any space to play, and a theme that developed throughout the game was trying to get the ball to So in the air and him not winning any headers against Nelson or Foster at all.
Yeah, but I did like it when he cracked Nelson square in the face and cut him open. That was quite good.
Yes, a slight premonition of things to come. But
Yes.
Nelson very much missed a trick there because he had the bandage sort of slightly lower over the right eye, and you would think someone called Admiral Nelson would just pull it all the way down and just complete the costume.
Considering he's now been told to leave, well, he can leave by Alan Stubbs as well. That would have been quite a nice way to go. Just a sort of fuck you
with a massive concussion.
Yes.
Bye. Something else that happened just in that early period, which again was kind of endemic throughout the whole game, was there was a point where Jason Holt was carrying the ball through the centre circle, not 2 feet away from Willie Collum, who was looking directly at his feet, and he got side down by a Hibernian player, and Willie Collum went, no, I think that's fair. And that was very interesting for me because I'd always wondered whether you'd be allowed to referee a Scottish game if you've been up all night eating peyote, and apparently you can.
Yeah, it's all too common a theme with Willie Collum, to be honest with you. He wasn't good for either team. He was just an utterly atrocious referee, which he has been for some years now. The fact he's actually, refereed European games baffles me. He is a really, really quite terrible referee.
To get away from Willie Collum entirely, Hibs got a penalty.
Yeah, they did, and it was a bad decision.
I wanted to move away from Willie Collum, and instead I've walked right into it.
Oh fuck! Yeah, no, you have, and that's Willie. That's Willie. I mean, it's the fact that the ball. I mean, Danny Handling doesn't have the skill to flick the ball back over his own head when he's in that sort of situation. There's only one player that ball could have came off, and it set up so nicely in there. I was half expecting Colm to fucking volley it in. It basically fell onto his left peg. It was a bad decision. You can sometimes forgive referees, maybe if the ball goes behind the goalkeeper and the goalie's got a touch, but it looks like the player might have got the touch. It didn't in this instance. It was a bad decision. I felt really bad for Jack as well, Jack Hamilton making his debut.
Yeah, well, Jack Hamilton, it was a poor start for him there, but he went on to be quite spectacular. But the most important thing that happened just after Hibs were awarded that penalty was... Oh my...
I enjoyed the part when Liam Craig tried to sort of outfox Jack Hamilton and then made an absolute prick of it and stuck it wide using his heel.
I can see him thinking, sort of like, he expects that I'm going to shoot this ball somewhere at that goal.
Yeah.
If
that's the tactic, he's played an absolute blinder.
Yeah, you cannot argue with the results. But process, results, it was all in place.
Yeah. But no, it was great the level of seethe that came from Liam Craig, basically for the result. Well, the 60 minutes after, where he just turned into a big angry ball of Hibs.
I think at that point, like we were discussing last week, how Hibs have improved and they've got personnel and things like that, but they are still fundamentally Hibs.
Yes.
I think that was the very moment where Liam Craig realised that for all the work he's put in over the summer with the team, with the manager, with everyone, he is still the captain of Hibernian Football Club. And just the crushing reality ate at his very heart.
I mean, I think maybe the first 20 minutes he was baffled by the fact they were wearing white and he didn't quite think that they were Hibs, and then he really realised when he missed that penalty, and he did miss the penalty.
He sure did.
By a distance. He realised that he is entirely Hibs, and he wasn't best pleased.
Every fibre of him.
Yes indeed.
Which was fun because it actually kind of silenced the Hibs fans who, like I said, had been in fair voice, bafflingly wheeling out their new chant, which begins with them replicating the mating call of the silverback gorilla and then launching into Carnival of Paris, which I'll let the younger listeners in on this one. That was the theme song for the 1998 World Cup.
What else happened? I mean, what else happened in 1998?
There was a couple of reasonably significant things. Heart of Midlothian won the Scottish Cup.
They did. I do remember that, actually. Yeah.
And furthermore, the Hibs went down.
Yes, they did. They got relegated on the last... Well, was it the last day? I don't even care.
I don't remember at all, because what I remember mostly from that season is Hearts winning the Scottish Cup.
Yes.
I would have thought... Now, I would forgive the Hibs for forgetting that we won the Scottish Cup. They don't have much interest in the Scottish Cup, as they have demonstrated ably over the last 112 years.
Yes.
You would think they would remember the relegation, especially in this of all years.
Yes, yeah. It was smacked of irony, somewhat, I must say. It was.
I tell you what, like when I was sort of sifting through that first 20 minutes to half an hour of fairly anonymous play in Hibs, well, I don't want to call it dominance, let's just say Hibs competence, being reminded of 1998 made me feel absolutely joyous.
Yeah, but I mean, what you've got to try and remember here, though, is that, the now disbanded, I believe, but probably the still same group, Section 43, are just a prepubescent group of super dicks, and they won't probably remember 1998, let alone see the significance of it.
I'm just thinking of the chilling thought of some scientists in a laboratory working hard to breed a race of super dicks, and them all filling up that section of Easter Roads with their little cardboard coloured squares trying to form the image of something.
Not a Scottish Cup, I think we've covered that, but yes.
No, it never shall be that.
No.
So yeah, well the half from there continued on. Kevin McHattie should have had a penalty.
Yeah.
It came from some of the few bursts of real football that were played in the game came when Holt, McHattie and Nicholson all combined nicely on the left. There was a lot of these little moves. I mentioned one in particular last week that happened at Ibrox, which is really, really encouraging to see them just popping into space, playing one-touch passes, knowing where each other is going to be.
Yeah.
And that is so encouraging for the future, because you have to think that, you know, they just need to practice this. This is kind of new to them, relatively new to them. They've had a pre-season, but they need to do it in games.
Yeah.
And now that we've got two of the hardest games that we'll play all season out of the roads, we have, not to sound too cocky, but fuck it, let's put a massive cock in here. We've got a couple of months on relatively easy street playing weaker teams where we can, really sort of bed in. We won't have, the likes of Dumbarton are not going to be as fired up as Hibernian to get in our faces.
Yeah.
So there's every chance that we'll get the time and space to develop that passing, and we might really see something special.
Yeah.
But yes, not Lewis. His name's Kevin. His name is Kevin McHattie.
You're doing it again, aren't you?
I will do this for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Kevin McHattie got into the box. He came together with Gray, was it?
I think it was actually Liam Craig was tracking.
Liam Craig again?
Yes. That was after the ball of seethe was created, and he basically ran about being just a total dick.
Well, yes, they came together. You can see why a referee might not immediately give it, but looking back, it certainly should have been a penalty to Heart of Midlothian.
I think so. It's McHattie takes a very nice touch and gets it back inside. Lewis Craig.
Just this gestalt entity made up of all the shannest Hibs players.
Can you tell we're excited to talk about Lewis Stevenson's incident later on? Liam Craig, he took his legs away. It certainly looked like a penalty. I think Colin was slightly unsighted by the towering frame of Sam Nicholson at the time,
blotting out the sun.
Yes. So I mean I think it can be forgiven given the way the rest of the game went. But I think maybe slightly hard done by there.
So later on, after a penalty box dramash, Sam Nicholson recorded the game's first shot on target, which, need I remind you, came after Hibernian had a penalty.
Yes.
And then a couple of corners later, Jordan McGee unleashed a howitzer of a volley.
Yes, where did that come from? It was tremendous. The technique involved when the ball dropped him, just to basically usher Boabin out the way as well. He had one thought in his mind, that was how he was going to hit it, and he really connected very, very well. It's not a part of his game that we've seen before, but
that's not true. We did see a flash of it at Ibrox. He did have a very, very similar opportunity, but whereas this one at Tynecastle was a Boher's Boher away from the far post, the one at Ibrox was
Yes, it just about hit that picture of the Queen that's up at Ibrox. It wasn't the best of efforts, but at least it shows he's got confidence as well.
It shows that Jordan McGee is fucking magic, so we're all for it.
Isn't he just?
And then into the second half, which began with the one instance of Osman Sow getting a bit of space away from the central defence, and he picked up the ball and went on a lovely run down the left channel.
It was good. It was the one time he really got a chance to open up and try and damage the Hibs defence.
So this heralded the fallow times of the game. Very, very bitty. There was a sequence where Hearts had, I think, 7,000 throw-ins, which led to Hibs having 3,000 throw-ins, which adds up to 10,000 throw-ins, which is I don't have to tell you, an awful lot of throw-ins.
Yeah.
There was some Ali Mostark highlights in the middle there. One where he sort of stood about, thinking about the incredible fragileness of being, and I think it was Harris came in and tried to steal the ball from him, and then he chased back and he got it back, which was quite nice.
Yeah, again, it's exactly the same thing happened with Kenny Miller last week when he just passed him it and he sort of went, well, run at me, bro. And he the recovery that he shows was great. But again, I think he just needs to get used to playing in games of this tempo and, with all that kind of going on around him. I think he's going to be great. I just think he needs a bit more time to bed in.
Alternative theory, he's doing it on purpose and he needs to stop coming the cunt.
Well, yes, okay, that's an interesting theory there, Nico. No, I still love him. I don't care.
One thing he doesn't need to stop doing is scything the living fuck out of Liam Craig on the sideline.
Yeah, he absolutely twatted him. It was fucking great as well. We shouldn't really be saying that these things are great. You don't want anyone to be hurt.
We shouldn't be.
No, but we are.
We absolutely should not be saying that.
No. But we are.
We certainly are.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was just great to see Liam Craig, who had, as we said earlier on, reverted to being the arsehole character in that Hibs team. It's usually Scott Robertson, actually. It's interesting tactics there from Stubbs to change the arsehole in the team. But
keeps us guessing at set pieces.
Absolutely.
I'm sure, like at the start of the game, Robbie's sort of going, right, okay, Danny, you've got the arsehole at this corner. Maybe that's what was on the paper.
That was on a piece of paper.
Craig's the arsehole. Craig's the arsehole. Change it up.
Pass the arsehole to McGee. So yeah, no, it was great to see him absolutely just put on his arse by Ozturk, who'd obviously just had enough of his antics. It was great, right in front of us as well. It was you could hear the side. It was wonderful.
So at that point, I was not nervous exactly, but coming to terms with the idea that Hibs were a better team this year, and probably this was going to be a 0-0. We were looking, they were playing as well. We were looking out of ideas. And someone had an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, what an idea it was.
It was what a great idea. It was just... my favourite part of the whole thing is how he makes Scott Robertson look like an absolute tit.
Who is making Scott Robertson look like an absolute tit then?
That would be Sam Nicholson.
Young Samuel Nicholson. Stationed out in the right after we brought on Jamie Walker. Now we spoke, Rob very astutely mentioned last week that putting Nicholson on the right makes him a bit less effective because he does love a cut in onto his favoured right foot.
Yes.
So he was a little bit quiet once he went onto the right, but he then suddenly remembered he's got a left foot.
Yes, and an incredible technique and vision and
by fuck did he use that left foot?
He did. After he made Robertson look like an absolute fanny, he then proceeded to
twat it into the goal.
He did. He absolutely. It was a good twatting.
And full 20 yards of twat.
Yep, a long range twat from Sam. No, it was the fact that Oxley had actually made a good save from him in the first half. Oxley didn't look like a terrible goalkeeper by Hibernian standards, and he didn't stand a chance with that one. It was an absolutely incredible finish.
I think my favourite part about it was I saw it go in and I was obviously losing every inch of my shit. And then Simon, our friend Simon, who sits just to my left in the Wheatfield stand, wasn't sure it had gone in, so there was a slightly delayed reaction of me being like, "Whoa!" and Simon went, "Oh yeah!"
Yeah, I think I was kind of with Simon on that one, to be honest with you. I didn't really know it had gone in. I turned round and Andy, who I was sitting next to, was already taps off, which was quite an incredible sight. So yeah, no, it was great.
Did you remember Prince Boabin being an utter fucking boss?
Yes. He in the second half. What I think a lot of us Hearts fans have been saying about the midfield players last season, for example, the likes of Jamie Hamill.
Oh, fucking Jamie Hamill!
So yes, Jamie Hamill. Still raw memories there for Nickel here. Jamie Hamill, Scott Robinson, even Jason Holt, to be honest with you, as much as we all love Holty. Prince Blabbin showed that he can take the game by the scruff of the neck, because I think he did that a lot in the second half. Everything we really did was coming through him. Even the 1-2 for Nicholson's goal came from him. And then the ball came to him at the edge of the box. Jamie Walker, a nice wee cushioned ball in. And he was the second player in as many minutes to make Scott Robertson look like an absolute,
tool.
Non-entity. Yes, it breezed past him, and it was a Stonewall penalty. Robertson has realised that he's not going to catch up with him. He's put two hands on him, shoved over. Willie Collum, you've got one right, you absolute fucking idiot.
Well done, you broken clock of a man. What's interesting about Boabin is we were talking in pre-season about getting him match fit. He wasn't match fit after his time at Carlisle and Partick, and I think what's interesting about that is how we often forget sometimes that footballers are human beings and need to be in comfortable situations.
Yeah.
He clearly hasn't had a great time of it since he left Dundee United, and a huge part of that is not playing with his Bezzy BBF, Morgaro Gomez.
Yes, indeed.
And you can see him now, he's at a club, I think he's one of these players who's just sort of realising just how big and loud and enthusiastic the Tynecastle crowd can be when things are going well, and he's feeding off of that. And for somebody who, 4 weeks ago we were worried about his fitness, is now covering every blade of grass for 90 full minutes, and then walking up to our main striker and sort of going, no, you're not taking this penalty, I'm Prince fucking Blabbin, and then fucking nailing it into the top corner.
Yeah, it was a tremendous penalty. I mean, that's how you do it, Liam. Or Lewis.
Whatever your fucking name is, you angry piece of Hibernian shite.
Yes, that's how you do it, Liam Craig. Strolled up nonchalantly,
Nonchalantly?
A lot more nonchalantly than how I speak the English language. Nonchalantly. He walked up, slowly, and he almost tapped it into the top corner. It was a fantastic penalty, and then
great technique. The side of the foot just opened up his foot.
Yeah, crikey. That's our Prince. So and the great thing about it was the delayed reaction, where he went to sort of have a really cool, almost, quite sort of...
Yeah, a very sort of swag, sort of just this is what I do, this ain't no thing.
Yeah, and then he realised that he'd just fucked the Hibs and went absolutely mental, ran basically crying all the way down the Gorgas stand towards the old stand, and was mobbed, rightfully, by his teammates.
Ran straight into our hearts.
Oh, didn't he just? It was great. It was a really good penalty.
And speaking of running, I turned around after, screaming my head off with utter joy, and suddenly the school end was a lot emptier.
Yeah, I did notice that. They weren't singing their Shan songs anymore.
Something that did happen, something that was sung, was everyone in the wheat field turned around and just started going, "Urgh!
Yes.
Oh, one of my favourite moments as a Heart supporter ever, just a whole stand of people making that annoyed sea lion noise at them, and then launching into the song that they'd been attempting to taunt us with not 10 minutes before.
Yes, I mean that's yet another in the long list of colossal failures that Hibernian Football Club have trotted out in the last many decades.
Well done, Hibs. You bring me so much pleasure with your just ridiculous attempts at being functional human beings.
You've only gone and done it again. Great stuff.
So then Hibernian obviously tried to turn up the pressure. Oh, we didn't even mention Scott Robertson got sent off for that penalty, his second bookable offence.
Ah, fucking man, who cares?
Not Rob, apparently.
Yep. No.
So they turned it on. Was it El Gui that had the shot that Jack saved?
Yes, it was a ball in, and Alan Monstork didn't really get his didn't really get his bearings right, and Alagui or Alagui, I don't know how you pronounce it.
El Alagui.
Okay. He just sort of breezed in behind him. Header from point blank range. Jack did really well to get his hands on it. I think even from cross balls, I don't think we've spoken enough about Jack, to be honest with you. 20-year-old laddie making your senior debut. He played against, 10 minutes against Man City and Wolfsburg and stuff like that. But, getting chucked into this sort of environment, I thought he handled himself brilliantly.
He was excellent, very
cross
excellent.
balls and everything.
And the interesting thing is, the Hibs fans were obviously aware that we had a young and inexperienced goalkeeper in goal, and during the the second half they were targeting him. They were really like on his back trying to put him off, and he handled everything beautifully. Before he had that save to make, he handled a lot of sort of like lofted cross balls and corners. Came out, grabbed them well. There was one he dropped slightly, but there was nothing.
There was no danger there.
He did. To be fair, Hibernian, he did shank one goal kick out of the park, and boy, did they enjoy that.
Yeah, well done on winning a fucking throw-in. Well done, Hibs. You really showed us there. That's you got one over us now. The bragging rights shall be going to Leith.
That shanked goal kick will certainly be shown at their Player of the Year awards. That'll be one of the main highlights.
Moment of the season.
But yeah, Jack Hamilton, it is a bit of a pain in the tits that he's now cup tied.
Yes, which is why we've signed Lee Hollis.
Any words for Lee Hollis?
He's kind of chubby and shite. That's the word I got from my Motherwell supporting friends. Started 14 games last year. Didn't look all that convincing or great. So, but we've only got him for a few. I think it's January the deal is, and Alexander's back in a couple of weeks. Gallagher's back in a couple of weeks.
So hopefully his nickname around the club will be Stopgap.
yes, indeed. And we're looking at bringing in Bryn Halliwell as well from Sauchie Juniors. Used to play for Dunfermline. Because obviously Lee Hollis will be starting tomorrow against Livingston. And that leaves us with Robbie Brown, 17-year-old keeper, as our only other option for that one. So.
With his recently twanged hamstring in tow.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So
welcome to the club, Lee.
Yeah.
Hope that you don't fuck it up.
Let's have a great time.
That was more or less the game after that, returning to Hibernian. I mean, they huffed and they puffed and they tried, but they only created one thing afterwards, and I suppose it was an alright goal.
I would like to mention the fact that Osman Sow got sent off, and we haven't mentioned that.
That did happen before the goal.
It did. He did that wonderful thing where he thought, do you know what, Michael Nelson, your eye's not cut enough, so have one of these suckers, and knocked into the floor again.
I like to think he was just absolutely livid at the fact that he had to share the football pitch with a player like Nelson. He just had to think, you think you're in the same world as me professionally? No, and he didn't feel like that playing against Annan, which should tell you something about Nelson.
Yeah, that's telling. To be honest with you, it was a pretty rash one from Osman. It was really daft. I don't know why he did it.
He was very clearly frustrated.
He was obviously frustrated, and that's something that's gonna have to get coached out of him then, because that I don't think it ever really came close to costing us any points, but it's daft, and he's going to miss 2 games now. He's going to miss the league game away at Race Rovers, so it's not the greatest of decisions. After we were singing his wonderful praises last week against Rangers, it's a learning curve.
Well, what it does mean for the near future is, like last year, if we'd lost our main striker for 2 games, it would have been a disaster, and we'd have been playing Brad Mackay up front or something terrible.
Yes.
But once So went off, before So went off, we got Gary Oliver on in a sort of support role, and then he took over the central role, and James Keatons came on and did a very, very tidy job as well.
He also did a great job right towards the end in the corner of winding up Liam Craig even more.
Yes, but more of that later. There is the minor point of Hibs scoring a goal, and yes, it was a peach, and yes, it did come from an unfortunate error from Danny Wilson. He misjudged a header, so he ended up heading it into the ground directly in front of him. Not ideal in any circumstance, but the awareness of El Alagui to pluck the ball out of the air, kick it over his shoulder, then turn around and fucking volley it straight into the fucking net.
Yeah. It was a good goal, but it wouldn't have happened if Danny hadn't have. I really don't know what he was doing there. I think only he knows, but there's literally nothing that comes to mind that makes me think, that's what he was trying to do.
No, he was clearly trying to head it away, and he made a cunt of it.
He headed it directly into the ground.
Yeah, he made a cunt of it.
I mean, that's a great striker's header. Sure. I
don't think there's any circumstance where he was thinking, this is the technique, this is what I need to do. He just straight up made a cunt of it.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely fucked it. But it was a good finish. Good finish from El Alagui.
But you know what my favourite thing about that goal was?
What?
It's utterly fucking meaningless.
It means nothing, because we still run away with the 3 points, as we very, very often do.
Almost always, in fact.
Yeah, no, it's great. But I think, to be honest with you, if we're summing this up as an entire game, we deserve to win the game.
Yes.
I think we deserve to win the game. We've maybe spoken a bit too much about Hibs. But,
I would say so.
Yes.
But we do need to mention, in the end, the aggro. First of all, Liam Craig just summing up his huge rage at the world, like when we were sort of wasting time in the corner, like running over to shove over a player and somehow miraculously only getting booked for it.
Yeah.
I think like that bag of dried mushrooms that Colin had taken at halftime really kicked in at that point. And then to compound it, following his captain's example, Lewis Stevenson steamed in on Jamie Walker.
Yeah, it's quite out of character for Lewis Stevenson as well, because you kind of, when we very, very regularly watch the Hearts players celebrating at full time after a derby, he's last season it was Kevin Thompson as well. They're always the ones that are going around actually shaking the hands of all the Hearts players. He seems like a kind of decent type, Lewis Stevenson. Totally out of character for him, but I mean, I'm pretty certain that the entire Hibs team despise Jamie Walker because he is a bit of a prick, and he winds them up something rotten every single time. I mean, the relegation party, he was having verbals with Ben Williams because he'd basically gone up to the Hibs fans to celebrate. Great stuff, Jamie. I mean, keep it up. I don't care.
In the absence
you need a villain in a derby game, and he's looking like it's going to be him.
In the absence of Jamie Hamill, he is our designated arsehole.
Yeah, I think so. He's easy to hate for a away team. Opposition teams, sorry. But Hibs seem to have taken a particular dislike to him, and as we are saying these words on this podcast, it's come out that they've both got 2 match bans, him and Stevenson, which I don't think we can be too upset by. Neither team has appealed it; they both accepted it. It was, I wanted to say handbags, but Stevenson really rakes his studs right down the back of Walker's his calf and right down his Achilles. It's a really terrible challenge. And compared to Jamie Walker sort of nodding at him like a Victorian gentleman, it's not really the same thing.
And good day to you, sir.
Do fuck off. But
you're not allowed to do it. I mean, it's just like anything. If you were to reach out and gently cuff an opposition player about the face, then you would get sent off because you're not allowed to raise your hands. Yeah, it's a daft reaction, and I'm sure he'll learn from it. I don't think he'll learn from it. He'll just forever wind up Hibs, and as I say, I quite welcome that. I don't mind it at all. So full-time whistle went. We celebrated our tits off.
Yep.
Liam Craig started charging around trying to fight everybody, up to and including Alan Stubbs, which was interesting, as Alan Stubbs ferried him down the tunnel to be sent off later.
Yeah, he actually didn't get sent off.
Oh, he did not?
He did not get sent off. No, that was lies fed to us by the fucking media.
I apologise, my information is faulty.
Yeah.
I will...
He should have been sent off though, because he's a wank.
Can't argue with that.
Yep.
Which does bring us on nicely to the songs of the week. We discussed this. We didn't feel that there was any real standout players. Obviously standout moments for certain players.
Yes.
In the derby, but funnily enough, given that we didn't really mention him that much in the roundup, we thought Kevin McCarthy was magnificent.
We've got form for this because we didn't really mention Prince Boabin last week either. I think, McCarthy was fantastic. He played really, really well. Kept Alex Harris very quiet, and same with Sam Stanton. Neither of them, even when they switched wings, got any change out of them.
Well, like you say, very, very defensively strong, solid positionally, and like we mentioned earlier, was involved in our best attacking moves down the left as well, being very, very intricate with Holt and Nicholson. So yes, for that reason, we're going to make some songs for Kevin McCarthy. So you went first last time.
Yep.
So I think I'll go first this time. McCarthy would tell any hobby to go suck a fuck. And if the hobby complains, then McCarthy will knock the cunt out, out, out. McCarthy will tell any hobby to go suck a fuck.
I'd absolutely love to see the Corgi stand belting out the word "suck a fuck" at the end of a song. The OAP and children's section getting right involved with the Kevin McCarthy tunes.
Getting right stuck in there.
Yeah, you've made me look like an absolute dick again as well, because I've just been really lazy and gone with the one that I came up with last year. They got a couple of very quiet earrings at places like Motherwell and St Mirren.
Oh, but it is good.
It's alright.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy, so much better than Pakujabi. Kevin McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, and so on and so forth.
You see, you have come out with it before, but that one has got a proven track record of being sung on buses, and I do think it is magnificent, so I think you actually do win this week.
Yeah, but as I say, I really want to trial that one. Scott Wilson dishing out the lyrics before the game in the Gorgie stand. It's like, does that say cunt, sucker, fuck?
It does. That's a reference to Donnie Darko for all you fans of early noughties indie sci-fi cinema.
And I'll bet there'll be loads listening to this podcast.
Well, you know, maybe.
Yep, okay.
Fans of Noah Wiley's abortive movie career. Well, I think that just about brings us to the end. So thank you for tuning in. We have had lots and lots of lovely messages.
I've got one thing to say.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you know how I was mentioning how I was absolutely ruined the entire weekend and I completely forgot the fact that we were doing Kevin McCarthy songs?
Yes.
Yes. To the people who sent me Sam Nicholson songs from Jambo's Kickback, I do apologise. They will get sung out when Sam fucking just plays well enough, I suppose.
Yep, so over to you, Sam.
Yep.
But on that note, like Rob says, we have had a wonderful response actually. People have been very, very encouraging and very nice, so yes. Thank you all for continuing to listen. We hope we have lived up to the standard set by the first episode.
Yep.
We won't be back next week because Rob isn't going to Livingston.
Yes, that's true.
And neither of us are going to Kirkcaldy.
Yes.
So we will be back in a couple of weeks after the Falkirk game, just to sort of round up all three of those matches. And
because we're a couple of shady part-timers.
That's correct.
Yes.
If you do want to get in touch with us, I am on Twitter at NicolHay, NicolHay.
And I am on Twitter at RFBorthwick, RFBorthwick.
But yes, thank you. Subscribe on iTunes, tell all your friends, and Steve Crawford.
Yep, Steve Crawford.
Hey, baby.
Amaruso, that's a run, it's a done!